The Griffins were back in action after the All-Star break, grabbing a 4-2 win over the Texas Stars. Lucas Raymond got his first point of the Olympics as Team Sweden fell 4-1 to Team Finland. For the Griffins, Shai Buium had a pair of assists for the second straight game. Buium has 6 points in 13 games and 4 of them in just the last 2 contests. I believe he's Detroit's top defensive prospect in Grand Rapids. This is your 7-Minute Wings. Welcome back to the Red Wings Report with Strings and Pucks. This is Jeremy Laura. Please click the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. Head over to hockeyhotstove.com where I write the Red Wings column. You can read news and information about all the teams in the league, along with coverage of all of the games at the Olympics. So Lucas Raymond hits the ice with Team Sweden, and the Swedes were stunned in a 4-1 loss to Finland. And this game got chippy. In the third period started with 6 players in their respective penalty boxes, 3 from each team. Team Finland is not messing around, and Sweden's going to have their hands full if they want to be playing in a medal game. Getting out of this group is not going to be easy, and Finland was able to lock down defensively and physically. They had much stronger goaltending, and the Swedes looked frustrated. It was a really interesting game to see. And I think those two teams are going to be battling hard to get out of their group. So for the Griffins, they're back in action after the AHL All-Star break. And with the 4-2 win over Texas, they improved to a league-best record of 36-7-2-1. 75 points through 46 games. Last year, through 72 games, they were 37-29-0-6 for 80 points. They're only 1 win and 5 points away from last season's point total, and they've still got 26 more games. Last year, the Griffins made the playoffs. This year, they're setting up to have home ice advantage through the entire postseason. They need to finish strong, and they should be a favorite to get to the Calder Cup Finals. Coming off of his first AHL All-Star appearance, Dominic Shine tallied 2 goals. Shai Buium had a pair of assists. Michael Branzig-Nygaard, he had an assist, and Amadeus Lombardi scored his 6th goal of the season. For Branzig-Nygaard, his assist brings his season point total to 26, 8 goals, and 18 assists, where he sits 4th on the team behind Dominic Shine, Sheldon Dries, and John Leonard. MBN has assists in consecutive games after a 9-game pointless streak. But even in that stretch, he's been physically engaged and learning to stay plugged in when the offense dries up. MBN has a unique skill set. I've touched on this before with his physicality. He just needs to be consistent over 200 feet of ice, and he's really putting that part of his game together well under Dan Watson this season. And I'd mentioned before, Lombardi scored his 6th of the year. It was a nice drive to the net. He initially went to make a backhand pass that ended up deflecting in and past the goalie. Lombardi looks good. He's found his skating again since his return. He's got 22 points, 6 goals, and 16 assists in 26 games for the Griffins, with 5 points, 2 goals, and 3 assists in his past 5 games played. So Shai Buium. I talked about this throughout the summer. At the end of last season, Buium, to me, had climbed ahead to the top of the blue line pool in Grand Rapids. I believe he had a legitimate shot to make the Red Wings this year heading into camp. He'd had a really strong prospect tournament against the Texas Stars. His shooting, his passing, his physicality, over 200 feet and in every situation, Shai Buium to me is the most complete defenseman in the system and the most ready for the NHL, but he has to stay healthy. He's looking better and better since coming back after missing most of the year from an injury he sustained in the preseason. He added 4 assists in his past 2 games with a total of 6 assists, no goals in 13 games since returning. If Buium can finish the year strong and have a strong summer, I'm looking for him to be in the mix to play in Detroit next year. He just has to stay off of IR. He's picking up steam, and hopefully he can keep adding to his numbers down the stretch. Buium and Lombardi both were players I was watching over the summer and into the preseason. I honestly believe both of these players have NHL potential. but both of them have seen health issues derail those opportunities. Buium in particular fills a need for Detroit with his combination of physical play and offensive capabilities. The Red Wings don't have a ton of defensive depth in the pipeline. The opportunities are going to present themselves. If Anton Johansson returns from Sweden after his season concludes, he and Buium made a formidable pairing last season down the stretch. The two make a great right shot, left shot combination, and they were effective in all situations for Grand Rapids when they were paired together at the end of last year. Those two looked like wrecking balls. Johansson, I was honestly surprised that he was returned to Sweden this year, but I think part of that had to do with the absolute logjam of defensemen in Detroit. You remember that Hall and Gustafsson were both sent down to Grand Rapids at the beginning of the year. So I think in Johansson's case, he was sent back over to be able to get more minutes in a top pairing situation. But when he comes back, I really think he has a stronger opportunity than Tuomisto because of his physicality. Tuomisto and Wallander, they've fallen a bit, and they need to step back up if they're going to get a shot in the NHL. Buium in particular, I believe, if he's healthy, he can be a bottom pairing defenseman in the NHL. So when you're looking at a pairing at the end of the season, if Johansson gets back, that's the pairing I'm going to keep my eyes on. To me, they were the most exciting down the stretch for Grand Rapids, and they show a glimpse of what Detroit has waiting in the wings. I'll be keeping an eye on the Olympics today again. And Sunday, Germany and the U.S. are going to face off. Dylan Larkin and Moritz Seider are going to meet up on Olympic ice, and you can bet I'll be talking about it on Monday. This was your 7-Minute Wings.